Before we place the stones on the animal, we're going to use a pendulum as kind of a quick assessment and detox of the chakras. Now, all a pendulum is a stone on a chain or a rope, a string. This is a beautiful smoky quartz cut into a pendulum point. Here's another example. This is a lapis. And you can also make your own. I make a number of my own, which just put an inexpensive chain on a stone cage, and that way I can place the stone that I want inside. This particular cage has a Herkimer diamond. I really like using the Herkimer diamonds for a quick assessment and detox of the animal. It's one of my favorite to work with. So what we do is we put the Herkimer diamond on your chain and you hold it over the chakras. We always start with the brachial chakra at the base of the dog's neck, then the root at the tail, work our way up. Your stone has got a vibrational energy to it. When you hold this stone over the areas of the dog that where the chakras are, where the energy is, they will connect and you will see movement of this stone. And from that movement we can determine how sluggish it is, how free-flowing the energy is, if it's blocked, if there's issues. It gives us a sense of assessment of what we're dealing with. We can hold the stone there for as long as it takes for that energy to get balanced and free-flowing. Then we move on because we will be putting the stones on after. So after the detox, we put the stones on the appropriate chakra. If it was a person, we would just have them lay down on a couch with a sheet over them and lay them in place. A person's chakras go from the base of the spine on up, but obviously a dog, an animal is going to move around. So we tack them on very lightly with a very tiny piece of tape, that just enough to hold the stone in place on the fur. And then the dog chills. He just hangs out for 20-30 minutes, and that whole time those stones are balancing and putting some really good energy into the chakras. And that is pretty much the energy crystal balance. What we do want to touch on a little bit is the care of the stones. We would never take stones off your dog and directly put them on another dog, or vice versa. The stones absorb energy. The stones hold energy. The care of the stones is really important. There are many ways. You have to clear and charge your stones. There are many ways of doing this, and a couple are, you can first simply run them under some tap water. The only thing with this is you have to know your stones, because some, like this stone here, is very soft and can be damaged by it. Another way is to set them in a bowl of coarse sea salts. If I'm using a lot of stones over the course of a couple days, I'll just throw them in there, and then at the end of the couple days take them out. And the salt can be reused a few times. But my favorite way of clearing the stones is smudging with sage. This is a bundle of sage, white sage leaves tied together, or you can use a single sage leaf, which I kind of like the single one. One little leaf can smudge a whole lot of stones. You basically light it, the flame will go out, and smudge the stone with the smoke of the sage, clearing the energy of it. Sage has wonderful, wonderful properties. The oil that's released when it's burned from the sage leaves in 1 hour will kill up to 94% bacteria of the air in your room. So if you've got sickness in your family, if you're ill, if your pet is ill, this actually works better than a commercial disinfectant. Not only will it kill the bacteria, but the quality of the air will stay that way for an extended period of time. At least a week, even a month later, they have done testing and found the air quality is still better than it was before the smudge. So sage is really, really helpful. I love clearing the stones with that. After the stones have all been cleared, we set them outside, not in a windowsill, not in an enclosed building. They go right outside into the universe. I stick mine on my porch, set them outside for a day in the sun, outside at night in the moonlight. If it's cloudy, it doesn't matter. But just like retuning a piano, resetting these stones, they hold a charge. They'll get recharged in the universe. On a night when there's a full moon, people like myself that work with stones will have a whole porch full of stones set out there because the energy is good energy out there. So I just want to tell a few stories of balancing with stones, because say your pet comes in and it does have some issues. Again, is every stone going to be a miracle balance? Are we going to cure everything that's going on with your pet? Probably not. But have we got, can it be helpful? Have we had miracle stories? Yes, we have. My one biggest miracle story involves my husband, and he was in the hospital severely ill for over a week with a very bad gastrointestinal infection. It was viral. There was nothing they could do. Before he was even admitted, he had not eaten for almost 2 weeks. He could not even drink broth or tea. An IV drip was keeping him hydrated, and the specialist stood around him, and it was basically, you get better or we'll just wait until you need emergency surgery and then we'll try to pull you through it. I'm a registered nurse, and I knew that we were in a really bad spot. At the time, I was taking classes about stones right across the road from the hospital at a college. And so with it being so fresh in my mind and learning at the time, I brought some stones up to the hospital and I pulled the curtain because I said, oh my gosh, they see me with a pendulum hanging a stone over them, they'll be calling security. But I did, and I brought my stones and I worked on his chakras in unblocking them and balancing them, and then I went home. He didn't even know what I had done because he had had pain medication and he was completely out of it. He was in a lot of pain. I called him about 3 hours later to say goodnight, and he was all excited. He said the specialist came in, woke him up, and wanted to palpate his abdomen, and he dreaded that because it was so painful. And he said he jumped forward and said, oh my goodness, it doesn't hurt. I have no pain. And the doctor said, well, would you like to try to take something by mouth? He says, I've drank tea, I've drank broth. He says, I am feeling so much better. And I said, you know what I did when I was up there? I said, I balanced you. And I said, you had some blocked chakras, including the blockage in the chakra we were talking about on the dog, the solar plexus chakra that's responsible for the stomach and part of the intestines. That's the one that was severely blocked. That's the one I got free flowing and unblocked. And in less than 3 hours later, he was improving by leaps and bounds. So that was very exciting for me. Another story involves a horse. A friend of mine's horse. He had been seen by a veterinarian and an equine chiropractor. His back legs and hocks were stiff. He wasn't moving good. Along his spine, the muscles were all like sunken in and atrophied. They thought, one doctor thought his hocks were fusing, the bones were fusing together. Another doctor thought he had a neurological disease. I did a balance on him. And right before our eyes, there's many other things you can do with the stones to get the energy moving, and I was taking points and going along his spine. Right before our eyes, the muscles filled in, and they all relaxed. It was amazing. The owner rode the horse a day later, and he moved perfect. He moved absolutely beautiful. So that one balance absolutely turned this horse around. Unfortunately, this horse has recently had some other problems, including contracting Lyme disease and having a head shaking syndrome, which is a condition where the nerves fire in a horse's head, and it's very aggravating and painful for them. It's like they're getting little shocks all the time. He was recently seen by a holistic veterinarian and has been put on some treatments and some Chinese herbs and is doing very, very well. But when the veterinarian examined him, he did acupuncture on the horse to see how the energy was flowing, and he said, I'm really surprised. For a horse with so many issues, there aren't any irritated, painful nerve endings or blockages in this horse's energy. And that's when she told him that I had balanced the horse. So this was a great validation to me that every balance is not going to be a miracle, but to me, there is no balance without benefit. You will be balanced, your energy is going to be better. To me, you're going to be at a higher level of health, so is your pet. And this horse would have been in more discomfort and in worse condition had I not balanced him. So that was a wonderful validation to me.